Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. You ever look up at a plane and think, man, I wish that was me, soaring through the sky? No worries? Well, today we're diving into a side of air travel most people never think about. We're talking about the world's most restricted airspaces, the places you and I will probably never fly over. We're talking zones so restricted, so shrouded in secrecy, that even thinking about flying over them will probably get you a one-way ticket to a very uncomfortable interrogation room. From military zones to top-secret government areas, these places are off-limits for a reason. So buckle up because we're about to take a wild ride through some of the most fascinating and forbidden airspace on the planet. This is going to be good. Alright, before we jump into the specifics, let's break down what restricted airspace actually means. Basically, it's like a giant "do not enter" sign in the sky, and believe me, they mean it. Now, these restrictions aren't about being mean or keeping secrets just for the fun of it, although sometimes it feels that way. They're in place for a few really important reasons: safety, security, and privacy. First up, safety. Imagine a jumbo jet full of passengers accidentally cruising through a military training exercise. Not a good mix, right? Restricted airspaces around these areas ensure civilian aircraft steer clear of potential danger zones. It's all about preventing those "oh crap" moments in the sky. Then there's security. Think about important government buildings, nuclear power plants, or areas with large gatherings of people. These spots need an extra layer of protection from potential threats from above. Restricted airspace acts like a force field, keeping the skies around these sensitive locations on lockdown. Finally, we've got privacy. Some places, like private residences of high-profile individuals or even entire islands, have restricted airspace to maintain a level of, well, privacy. It's about protecting personal space and preventing unwanted attention from the air. But here's the thing about restricted airspace: it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. There are different levels of restriction depending on the location and the reasons behind it. Some areas might have temporary flight restrictions during specific events like a sporting event or a natural disaster. Others are permanently off-limits with no exceptions, and trust me, they're serious about these restrictions. We're talking fines, jail time, even getting your plane forcibly grounded if you violate them. Not exactly the kind of travel souvenir you want. So, now that we've got the basics down, let's dive into some of the most fascinating, secretive, and downright intriguing restricted airspaces on the planet. Alright, let's kick things off with the big one. The place that's been fueling conspiracy theories and sparking imaginations for decades. Area 51. This top-secret military base, nestled in the Nevada desert, is like the holy grail of restricted airspace. It's so secretive that its true purpose remains shrouded in mystery, even though the government officially acknowledged its existence back in 2013. Now, Area 51 is practically synonymous with UFOs and alien cover-ups. Ever since that alleged UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947, people have been convinced that the government is hiding extraterrestrial secrets at Area 51, and honestly, who can blame them? The secrecy surrounding this place is like a giant neon sign flashing, "We've got something to hide." But alien conspiracies aside, we do know that Area 51 is a hub for experimental aircraft development and testing for the US Air Force. Think cutting-edge spy planes, stealth technology, and all sorts of next-level aviation stuff that would make even Tony Stark jealous. They've got to test these things somewhere, right? But the level of secrecy around Area 51 goes way beyond your typical military base. We're talking heavily armed guards, motion sensors, and warnings that lethal force is authorized if you even think about trespassing. The airspace above Area 51 is just as restricted. It's part of the Nevada Test and Training Range, a massive chunk of airspace that's off-limits to civilian aircraft. Pilots who've accidentally strayed too close have reported being intercepted by fighter jets and escorted out of the area, and you know they mean business when fighter jets get involved. So, what's really going on at Area 51? Are they reverse engineering alien spacecraft, testing top-secret weapons, or is it just a really secure aircraft testing facility? Whatever the truth may be, one thing's for sure: the airspace above Area 51 remains one of the most restricted and intriguing places on the planet. Chapter 3. North Sentinel Island, Protecting a Fragile Existence. From the Nevada desert, we're traveling halfway across the globe to a remote island in the Bay of Bengal, North Sentinel Island. This tiny island, part of the Andaman Islands, is home to the Sentinelese people, one of the world's last uncontacted tribes. And when I say uncontacted, I mean they've had very little contact with the outside world for, well, probably thousands of years. Now, the Sentinelese people have a reputation for being fiercely protective of their isolation. They've been known to meet outsiders with hostility, even shooting arrows at passing helicopters. Can you blame them? They've built their own world, their own way of life, and they're not too keen on having it disrupted. To protect the Sentinelese from the potential dangers of outside contact, the Indian government has declared North Sentinel Island a complete exclusion zone. That means no one is allowed to visit the island, let alone fly over it, and this isn't just a suggestion, it's the law. The Indian government takes the protection of the Sentinelese very seriously. The no-fly zone over North Sentinel Island serves a few crucial purposes. First and foremost, it protects the Sentinelese from diseases to which they have no immunity. Even a common cold could wipe out their entire population. It's a stark reminder of how fragile their existence truly is. Second, the no-fly zone helps prevent any sort of conflict or misunderstanding between the Sentinelese and the outside world. Let's face it, communication can be tough when you don't speak the same language, especially when one party is known to greet strangers with arrows. Finally, the no-fly zone helps preserve the Sentinelese way of life. They've thrived for centuries without our interference, and the best way to ensure their continued survival is to respect their isolation. So, while the skies above North Sentinel Island remain off-limits, they stand as a powerful symbol of the importance of respecting cultural diversity and protecting the world's most vulnerable populations. Chapter 4, Vatican City, the Holy No-Fly Zone. Hold on tight because we're about to land in the heart of Rome, Vatican City. This tiny independent city-state, home to the Pope and the center of the Catholic Church, might be small in size, but it's huge in terms of religious and cultural significance. And to protect this sacred ground, the Vatican has implemented some of the strictest no-fly zones in the world. Now, the no-fly zone over Vatican City isn't just about protecting the Pope, although that's a big part of it. It's about safeguarding the countless priceless works of art, historical artifacts, and religious relics housed within the Vatican walls. We're talking about the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Basilica, the Vatican museums, treasures that belong to all of humanity. The no-fly zone, which extends for a radius of about 1.2 miles around Vatican City, is constantly monitored by Italian air traffic control and enforced by the Italian Air Force. Unauthorized aircraft entering this airspace can expect a swift and serious response, which might include anything from radio warnings to being intercepted by fighter jets. But the no-fly zone isn't the only security measure in place to protect Vatican City. The Vatican itself is surrounded by high walls, guarded by the Pontifical Swiss Guard, known for their distinctive colorful uniforms and highly trained in both traditional weaponry and modern security techniques. Inside the Vatican, you'll find a sophisticated network of surveillance cameras, metal detectors, and security personnel working around the clock to ensure the safety and security of this holy city. While the no-fly zone might seem like an extreme measure, it's a testament to the importance of protecting this sacred and culturally significant place. It's a reminder that some things are more valuable than convenience or personal freedom. They're treasures that deserve our utmost respect and protection. Chapter 5. The White House, Fortress in the Sky. Our final stop takes us to Washington, D.C., home to the most famous residence in the country, the White House. As the home of the president, the White House is one of the most protected places on Earth. The airspace above the White House is a no-fly zone. This restriction, put in place after 9/11, prohibits unauthorized aircraft within a 15 nautical mile radius. It's monitored 24/7 by the Secret Service, FAA, and the U.S. Air Force. The no-fly zone protects against threats from drones to hijacked planes. The airspace is like a multi-layered shield. Violating it can lead to severe consequences. They don't mess around when it comes to protecting the president. On the ground, the White House is protected by Secret Service agents, surveillance systems, and bomb-sniffing dogs. It's a fortress, both on the ground and in the air. And that's a wrap on our whirlwind tour of some of the world's most restricted airspaces. From the secretive desert base of Area 51 to the culturally significant Vatican City and the heavily guarded White House, these no-fly zones offer a glimpse into the lengths we go to protect what's important, whether it's national security, cultural heritage, or the very survival of an isolated tribe. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more interesting content. We're always exploring new and fascinating corners of the globe, even if we can't always fly over them. Let us know in the comments which restricted airspace surprised you the most. Was it the alien intrigue of Area 51? The protective isolation of North Sentinel Island? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. See you in the next video.